Hi, everyone. I'm Lisa D'Amico, the curator of the art gallery at the Rockefeller State Park Preserve. And today I have the pleasure of speaking with Jessica Cavaliere, who is one of the exhibiting artists in the current exhibit. So, welcome. It's so nice to speak with you.
Thank you so much for having me, Lisa.
Now, Jessica, your pieces in the exhibit, in terms of medium, are very different than the other pieces. They are beautiful and striking and unique in their own way. And I'm hoping that you can get us started with this interview by discussing your process.
Sure, I'd be happy to. So my pieces, as you know, are made entirely of wool. I like to refer to them as my wool paintings, but there really is no paint involved. Um, when people ask me about how exactly I go about making my art, I like to describe it as tattooing, but with wool. So I use different types of unspun wool, and I have a few examples here today. So this is a wool bat. You can see it's rather fluffy, and I can pull it apart almost in layers. Um, so I will often use wool bats as well as wool roving. So you can see this wool is just processed a little bit differently. It's not quite as fluffy, and when I pull it off, I get nice long pieces of wool rather than a little puffy piece. Um, and I really sort of challenged myself, I guess, to try to recreate nature using only this material, whether it be feathers or scales or fur. I love to needle felt animals. Um, and it's really a challenge to see how I can manipulate the wool in order to recreate scales or feathers or fur. So when I pull off the little pieces of wool, I then use just a little tiny needle. It's got little barbs on it, and the barbs on the needle catch the wool and drive it down into the fabric. Um, you can needle felt on anything as long as you can get your needle into it. I use primarily wool felt. Um, and that is what my pieces in the gallery are felted on. I start with a large piece of wool felt and I start to pull off the little pieces, and then I will poke them down into the fabric. So I can manipulate these in many different ways. I can twist it, I can pull it, I can even layer different colors of wool to blend it just as you would blend paint. So I hope that makes sense.
That's fascinating. I'm curious to know, how did you come to work with wool?
I have always been fascinated with any kind of textiles and anything textural. As a very young child, my mom taught me how to sew. So I've been sewing and making first clothing for my stuffed animals and then lots of clothing for myself as the years have gone on. I also knit and I've done cross stitch and all different types of fiber arts. And I stumbled across needle felting as yet another really amazing textural um, piece work of art, and I was hooked. A friend of mine actually asked me if I would needle felt a photo of her dog for her, and I did, and it just kind of took off from there.
I'm
I do loads of animal commissions. I love to recreate animals and landscapes within my work. Um, and it's really just something that I love. I love manipulating the wool. I love the texture and I love what I can do with the wool.
okay. So I'm curious also to know about your preparation. How do you prepare for this? Are you doing sketches? Are you selecting all the colors in advance? How does this process begin from step one?
Um, Usually, once I've sort of decided on my subject matter, um, I will begin a sketch. I usually work in Procreate. Um, and then I will print out my sketch. And what I will do is actually use, I have a heat transfer pen. So I have my sketch on my piece of paper. I will outline it with a heat transfer pen, and then I will iron it on to a piece of wool felt. So the both the owl and the turtle, they were done in multiple pieces. So for example, the owl, I started with a base layer of dark felt because I wanted my background to be darker. And I felted the wool down. Um, then the owl himself and the moon were done on white felt. So then I transferred my image onto the white felt and then put the white felt onto the darker background and then needle felted the details on top of that.
That's amazing. That really is. Before we go, is there anything else you'd like to share?
Oh my goodness. No, I hope that everybody really enjoys seeing my work. And I love being able to introduce people to needle felting and people who've maybe never seen it before. And I hope they come to the gallery and want to reach out and touch it.
Oh, that's wonderful. I have to say, it's an honor to have your pieces in this exhibit. They
Thank you so
are
much.
are really, you have mastered this so beautifully, and your pieces tell a story. They really do. And I'm so grateful that you've joined us. So thank you, Jessica.
Thank you so much for having me.